This is the story of how I ended up becoming a character in a fiction novel.
You don't know me, but you're about to.
Alright, let's roll back. This is summer of 2018, and I was traveling to Mesa Art Center, downtown Mesa, and I was visiting, just checking out some art pieces. I ended up going to the gift shop in the art museum and just scouting around, looking at stuff. Not gonna buy anything because fly students are broke. But I was just going around and I just looking at stuff. You know, in my vision around the shop, I saw this old man carving up a dried gourd, the shell of a gourd. He was doing some artwork on it, and I didn't pay much heed to it. I just kept moving. After a few minutes or so, I see him come to me and ask me if I needed some help. Obviously, I looked like I did not belong there. Maybe because I was just, I think I looked exotic or something, or just out of place. Anyway, so what happened was he ended up asking me if I needed some help, and I said no, thank you. And then he went back to carving his gourd, all good. And then after it was done, I said, thank you, and we exchanged some pleasantries. And somehow he asked me where I'm from, because obviously I did not look like I was from there. He asked me where I'm from and who I am, what my name is, just normal, pleasant conversation. I ended up telling him my name, that I was a flight student at CAE, flying out of Falcon Field in Mesa, and my airline is in India and all that kind of stuff. And he was surprised. Like, he had this expression that I cannot explain. Like, he felt like he met a friend that he'd never seen for a very long time. He ended up telling me that he was also an FAA flight instructor, CFII, back 4 decades ago, and I was absolutely surprised. I just oh my god. So we belong to the same, field. He told me that he was an instructor back in the day. He had his own airplane, and he had been to Falcon Field. He did his training in Oregon, and we just did some stuff. And we were like, you know what, we gotta stay in touch. We exchanged numbers, and we made plans to meet up again. He did actually mention something very cool during that first interaction that we had, that he was writing a book. He was an artist, but he was also writing a book. This was his first book, his debut as an author. He was writing a book on aviation and drama and romance and all that kind of stuff. And this was a fiction novel, and he was just telling me quite a bit about it, asking me a little bit about modern aviation and how training is these days and what I was doing. And that was it. I did not know much about it, but since we did exchange numbers, I was looking forward to talking more about this the next time we met. Meet Jim. This time we were having coffee, right? We're having coffee, and he tells me that his first book is published, and he's looking to understand modern aviation and modern training techniques and all that kind of stuff. And he's asking me questions about it because I'm right there in the field, and he's not flown in almost 4 decades. He doesn't really know what's going on with training right now, so he ends up asking me some questions, and I keep feeding, and I am really surprised by how simple he wants to make it for his readers, because sometimes aviation can get a little complicated. After maybe a month or so, he ends up giving me this, which is his first book, Flying Solo, right? And he writes me a beautiful message right here. Now he was on his second book, and we'd keep meeting, and we would talk about, a little bit of training. He would tell me a little bit about the story that he's writing, and that's what it would be. But I knew something. I knew he had not been in a cockpit in almost 4 decades. So I thought of something. This was during my commercial training, and I had my ground instructor at CAE called Richard. And Richard had a Mooney parked at Falcon Field, and he used to talk about it quite a bit, and I thought of something. I thought, why not take Jim up on the ride? I talked to Richard, and Richard agreed, and I ended up, surprising Jim to a flight with Richard, just around Phoenix and just flying around, and I knew he would be absolutely thrilled about this experience, and so he was. And when he landed, I was right there. I was on the ground, and he was just like, man, that was incredible. And so Jim and I became really good friends, and Jim always used to say, for some reason, that he found my life rather amusing and inspiring. And we stumbled upon this idea of me as a character, Tanay, in his second book, guiding the main character in his book, Chris, during the story. And he was sold. Jim was in, and that's pretty much how I ended up becoming a character in the book. And I mean, I will not tell you the story. I will not tell you the story, but a lot of the events in both the books, have real events that have inspired the story. It feels really special when I read these books, both of them, because Jim has told me the stories, the actual true stories that have been put in the book. Unfortunately, you'll never know, but it feels really good to be a part and to be immortalized by being a character in the book. And this is the second book, Born to Fly. And chapter 58 is the chapter where I end up. There's this entire chapter. I don't know if you can see, but that's where I enter. The story's incredible. I'm not promoting these books, but I will, link them down in the description. It's not complicated. It's not aviation. It's not drama. It's not romance. It's a little bit of everything, and it's so beautifully created. And I would highly recommend everybody to read it. Part of the reason because I'm in there, Jim, if you're watching, I cannot wait for the trilogy to be completed. Cannot wait for the third book, and I hope you get back up to health. And that's it for this one.
This is my ceramic shelf. So right in the middle, you can see the gourd that Jim got for Tanay, or that Jim made for Tanay. So it's beautifully carved, again, done all by hand painted. It's got some stones on it, as well as this beautiful geode on the bottom where Jim put his signature. So the gourd is staying with me for right now, and that's just to keep it safe. It's a beautiful piece of artwork, and we would absolutely hate for anything bad to happen to it.